Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes and what is the architecture of Kubernetes? What are the components in Kubernetes cluster? So we'll discuss each and everything. So first of all, what is Kubernetes? So before Kubernetes, is there any container orchestration tool? So Docker Swarm we will use in the Docker, same architecture and same like however the Docker Swarm will work, same like Kubernetes will also work. So Kubernetes is a open source container orchestration system to automate the deployment, scaling, and managing the containerized application. Okay, Kubernetes is a portable, extensible, open source platform for managing container workloads and services that facilitate both declarative configuration and automation. So it has a large, rapidly growing ecosystem. Kubernetes service supports and tool widely available. So you can deploy the clusters, and you can deploy the containers on the Kubernetes cluster. So remaining Kubernetes will take care. So the automation like deployment, scaling, management, load balance, everything Kubernetes cluster will take care. So, what is the container orchestration tool? So, Kubernetes container orchestration allows you to build application services that span multiple containers, scheduled containers across the cluster. So, what is cluster? Cluster is nothing but a group of machines. Like we have node machine. Let me take a. These are the one machine like one VM, and this also another VM, like a group of systems we will call as a cluster. So in Kubernetes we have master and node worker nodes, like a master slave architecture, right? Same like we have master and slaves. So in the Kubernetes cluster we have one master and many nodes, and many masters many node also available. Okay, so those containers and manages their health over the time. Kubernetes eliminates many of the manual process involved deploying and scaling the containerized application. So we can come to know what is Docker and containers. Docker and Kubernetes. Docker is a platform for tool for build and distributing the running the containers. So Kubernetes is to maintain that containers in the cluster. So that is the main thing for used for Kubernetes. Kubernetes container orchestration system. The container more extensive. The Docker Swarm means to coordinate with the cluster and nodes in the production different manners. Okay, why you need Kubernetes and what can it do? So containers are very good way to build and run your application. If it is a single application like so Docker is good, and in production environment you have to manage the containers that run the application and ensure that there is no downtime. For example, container goes down, another container need to start manually. We need to start. So when it comes to the Kubernetes, automatically it will be started. So won't be easier to behavior to handle that system. Okay, that's how Kubernetes comes into the rescue. Okay, Kubernetes provide you to framework to run distributed system efficiently. Okay, so it takes care of scheduling and flavor for your application and provide deployment patterns and more. For example, Kubernetes can easily manage and canary deployments of your system. Okay, so Kubernetes provides you with service discovery, load balancer, Kubernetes. Okay, so can expose a container using the DNS name, using their IP address. If the traffic to the container is high, Kubernetes is able to load balance and distribute the network to the deployment is stable. Storage orchestration. So these are the advantages when you use Kubernetes. Okay, storage orchestration. Kubernetes allows automatically mount the storage system of your choice, such as local storage, public cloud repositories, public cloud providers, and more. Automated resources rollbacks. Okay, you can describe the desired state of our deployed containers using Kubernetes. it can be change the actual state or the desired state and control rate. For example, you can automate the Kubernetes, create a new container for deployment, remove existing containers and adapt all the resources to the new container. So you can do easily rollouts and rollbacks. Aut- Automatic pin packing, bit packing. Okay, Kubernetes with a cluster of nodes. Okay, it can run containers tasks. Okay, you can tell Kubernetes how much CPU and memory each container needed. So you can define, okay, how much CPU and memory each container needs. Okay, Kubernetes can fit containers onto your nodes to make the best use of your resources. Self-healing. Okay, Kubernetes restart containers that fails and replace the containers. Okay, kill the containers that doesn't respond. Okay, to your user-defined health check and doesn't advertise them to client until they are ready to serve. Okay. Secrets and configuration management. Kubernetes lets you store and manage the sensitive information such as password, auth tokens, and SSH keys. Okay, you can deploy and update secrets and application configuration without rebuilding your container image and without exposing secret in your stack configuration. So what is Kubernetes not means? Kubernetes is not traditional, all-inclusive platform as a service system. Since Kubernetes operates on the container level rather than that hardware level, so it provides some general applicable features common to the PaaS offerings such as deployment scaling, load balancing, lets user integrate their logging and monitoring, okay, alerting the solutions. However, Kubernetes is not monolithic, okay, and these default solutions are optional and pluggable. Okay, Kubernetes provide the building blocks of building developer platforms, okay, but preserve user choice to flexible where it important. So now let's talk about Kubernetes. Okay, Kubernetes does not limit type of application supports. Okay, Kubernetes aims to support extremely diverse and variety of workloads, include stateless and stateful data processing workloads. If application can run in container, it should run great on Kubernetes. So does not deploy source code and does not build your application. Continuous integration, delivery, and deployment workflow are determined by the organization's cluster and features as well technical requirement. Okay, these are the points, okay, which is not the Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is not more orchestration system. In fact, eliminate the need of orchestration. The technical definition of orchestration is the execution of defined workflow. First do A, then B, then C. In contrast, Kubernetes comprises the set of independent and composable control process that extensively continuously drive the current state towards the provided desired state. Okay, these are the points which Kubernetes in official documents which I have noted here. So now we will talk about Kubernetes architecture. So Kubernetes architecture, as I said, is- it have a master and a worker node. So suppose this is a cluster. If you think this is a Kubernetes cluster, so we have master node. This is master. We will call it as a control plane. Okay, control plane, and this is the worker node. Okay, this is node 1. This is node or worker node. Both are same. Worker node are nodes. Okay. However, we have master and slaves, right, in Jenkins. Same like here node 2. So in each and in the Kubernetes we will the user is interacted with using kubectl command. Okay, kubectl is a client to interact with the cluster, Kubernetes cluster. So we have a few components are in Kubernetes master, that is API server and etcd and scheduler, control manager, and in the node we have like kubelet and kubeproxy, container run, okay, and docker, everything in the node components. Okay, so user will use kubectl client to interact with the cluster. Okay, master will manage all the details of the nodes. Okay, so the pods which you are running on the nodes, it will be running on the nodes only, not the master. Okay, now let's see the architecture of Kubernetes. As I said, so in the Kubernetes cluster we have API server and etcd, kube scheduler, and control manager. Okay, so we have like one manager, multiple nodes, and multiple managers and multiple node clusters also is there, single cluster or multi cluster. Okay, so kubelet, kubeproxy, and pods. Okay, pod also contain containers. Okay, we'll talk about the pods in detail. So user is using kubectl. So this is the client. However, we have git, right, to interact to so GitHub server. So same like kubelet is a client. Using kubelet, we will API is the main component, the master. Okay, so we will talk about each module in the master, like API server, scheduler, etcd, controller, everything the same. So API server means the tracking state of the cluster components and manage the interface between them. So whenever we have to write the deployments, okay, we have created the pod, it will comes to API server. Okay, the API server will read that information and will store into the etcd. So it is a key value store for all the cluster configuration data, and it will give the back to the API server. Then it will give it to the scheduler. Okay, distribute and schedule and workloads of, see what all the cluster, all the node information, it should be tracking by API server only through pod. So scheduler will distribute the unscheduled workloads across the available nodes, and it will check and give it back to the API server. Then control manager, okay, runs the built-in controllers like node or replication controller, whatever the we have defined in the parts. Okay, so it will watch changes. So now in the node we as I said, like kubectl, kubeproxy. So the parts we can directly expose the over the outside of the cluster. So we need a service proxy like kubelet. Okay, it is the it will use manage the container based incoming pod specification. Okay, and kubelet accepts and controls the network connection between node pods. Okay, so the cloud APIs, like when you talk about cloud control managers, there are many ways to you can set up the cloud um, Kubernetes cluster setup, like Minikube, kubeadm, kops, and in EKS and AKS. Okay, and the GKE. We have different cloud services provided to set up this cloud. Okay, when you go with cloud, so everything master can be managed by the uh, cloud, and you just deploy and add the nodes of the cluster. That's it. So the master components, it's okay. The Kubernetes master runs on scheduler, control manager, and API server, and etcd components. The responsible responsible for managing the cluster. Okay, so master is the main responsible to manage the cluster. Okay, it's brain of the cluster. Now let's each divide into master components. Okay, as I said, the control plane contains control plane and master, both are same. Okay, the API Kubernetes API server. Okay, as I said, we have API server. Okay, it's provide the programming interface for controlling the Kubernetes. And etcd, it's like a key value store of the cluster data. So all the information stored under etcd. And Kubernetes scheduler. Okay, the scheduler will schedule the matches the pods available on the nodes. And Kubernetes control manager. Okay, this is the, so runs a number of processes to manage node failure and control replication, join services to the pod via endpoint, and control account access tokens, everything. Now this will comes to the when you use that cloud, like EKS, APS, okay, GKS, everything. So when you go with setup in cloud, so cloud control manager will helps to manage APIs from specific cloud provider around, such as aspects of specific infrastructure routes and load balancing. Okay, the node components like kubelet. So kubelet agent that checks the containers are running in the pod. Okay, so kube network proxy maintain the network rules. And the docker container d, another. Okay, now API server, as I said, like API server is a component of Kubernetes control plane that exposes the Kubernetes APIs. The server is front end for Kubernetes control plane. So when you run some Kubernetes create pod, okay, it will comes to the API server. So API server will validate and giving to the etcd, and it will validate and coming back everything. So it will main interface between node and master, like user also. The main im- the main implementation of Kubernetes API server. Okay, this is the official document. The Kube API server is designed to scale horizontally, that is scales by deploying more instance. You can run instance, use Kube API server and balance traffic between those instances. etcd consists of highly available key value store in Kubernetes backing store all the cluster data. So it is like it will be storage. So it's like a key value store. It's not a like relational database, something like that. So in Kubernetes cluster, user uses etcd and backing store, and make sure you have a backup plan for those data. Okay, you can find depth information about etcd and the official document link. Okay, and a scheduler. The control plane component watches the newly created pods. Okay, with no assigned node and the selected node for them to run. Okay, and factors taken into account for scheduling decision includes individual and collective resources requirement, hardware, software, policy constraints, effectively and anti-efficient, affinity specification, data loyalty, and inter-workload interface, and the deadlines. So this is the main kubectl is responsible to, so newly created pods with assigned nodes, and that information it should be in the kube scheduler. It will schedule. Now kube control manager. This is the controls of your nodes. Okay. So control plane component that runs on controller process. Okay. Logically, each controller is a separate process, but to reduce the complexity, they are all in compiled into single binary and runs into single process. Okay, these are the control includers, like node controller. Okay, we have different and replication controller, endpoint controller, service account, and a token. Okay, the node controller is responsible noticing and responding when nodes goes down. It will control your nodes. Okay, the node controller is responsible for noticing the responding when the nodes are goes down. So replication controller, the responsible for maintaining the correct number of pods every replication controller object in the system. The endpoint controller, it populates the endpoint object that joins the service and pods. Okay, service account and token controllers. So create a default account and API access need of the namespaces. The node components. Okay, these are as we discussed as of now. These all are comes into the master node like control plane. Now node components. The node components run on every node, maintaining running pods on providing that Kubernetes runtime environment. Okay. Now kubelet is an agent to run on each node in the cluster. Okay. It makes sure that containers are running in the pod. So this duty is running on each cluster. Okay, and it makes sure running on the pod. Okay, the kubelet takes set of pod specs that provides through the various mechanisms and ensure that containers describe the pod specs and the running in and healthy. Kubelet doesn't manage the containers which weren't created by the Kubernetes. Kubeproxy, it's a network proxy that runs on each node in your cluster, implementing part of Kubernetes service concept. Okay. Kubeproxy maintains the network rules on the nodes. The network rules allows the network communication your pod from the network session inside and outside of your cluster. And Kubeproxy uses those operating system and filtering layer is one of the available. Okay, otherwise Kubeproxy forwards the traffic itself. Okay, container runtime. The container runtime is the software that responsible for the running containers. It is in the node component. Okay, Kubernetes supports the server level container runtimes like Docker, Containerd, CRIO, any of the implementation in the Kubernetes CRI. Okay, these are the document. As I said, like so whenever a user is created kubectl and created the pod, it will comes to the API server and it will write through ECCD and it giving the response back, okay, to the user. And so now it will watches the new pod and scheduler and blind the pod and giving back to the etcd and API server. Now API server so watches that kubelet. Okay, now these are the points, okay, which is clearly see kubectl writes the API server. First point, the API server validates the request and persisted the ECTD. It will save the into ECCD. So etcd notify back to the API server. And third point, the API server invokes the scheduler. Now, once giving back to the validate and giving back to the API server, now it will be scheduled. Like API server invokes the scheduler. The scheduler decides where where to run the pod and return that API server. Okay, the scheduler will decide where to run the pod in the node. The API server persists to etcd. Again, it will give the response and saved into API server. Okay, etcd. The etcd notifies back to the API server. The API server invokes the kubelet. Okay, in the corresponding node. The kubelet talks to the Docker daemon using API over the Docker socket to create the containers. The kubelet updates the pod status of the API server. So kubelet is back giving the response to API server like API server. So API server persists the new state etcd. Okay, these are the components in the architecture of Kubernetes, like master node and worker nodes. So we have seen like what are the components in the worker node and what are the components in the master node. So mainly we have in master node like API server, etcd, scheduler and control manager. And when comes to the worker node, we have kubelet, kubeproxy and container run and pod. Okay. Now we'll talk about the pod. Okay, we have seen Kubernetes. Wherever you have heard Kubernetes, like it will comes to the first thing pod. Okay, comes to your mind first thing is pod. Okay, pod are the smallest and the most basic deployable object in the Kubernetes. Okay, a pod represents single instance running on the process on your cluster. Okay, pod contain one or more containers, such as Docker containers. When pod runs on multiple containers, the containers are managed in single entity and share the pod resources. So pod is we have different kinds like pod deployment, services, replication set. Okay, and we'll talk about each thing. Okay, and pod is an object which encapsulates a group of one or more containers, such as Docker containers, with a state, storage, and network per specific and how to run the containers. Now replica set. Replica set is a Kubernetes object, okay, which is used to make your pod is highly available and at any point make sure the specified replication are up and running. And deployment. A deployment provides a declarative update of your pod and replication set. So you describe a desired state of deployment and the deployment controller changes the actual state and desired state of controller state. Okay, you can define deployment, create a new replica sets and remove existing deployment and adopt all the resources with the deployments. Like pod holds the application and complete workload, and replica set ensure pods are available, matches the desired state. This is the responsibility of replica set. And deployment, the desired state criteria manages replica set and balance workloads. Now, when you talk about the pod, okay, each pod have its own IP address, and pod also have multiple containers. Okay, one main container, another one is helper container. The IP address allocated to the each pod is reachable within the cluster only. The pod have IP address, it will reachable within the cluster only. So if the cluster pod running on one node can talk to running on another node with the help of pod IP. In the pod, multiple containers occupy different port numbers. Okay. In the same pod, multiple containers can run with the different port numbers. For multiple containers have unique port number with the same pod. Okay. We have multiple pods on single node. That is the advantage running a same application with the different port numbers. Container can communicate with same pod using localhost. So using localhost, see one pod we have multiple containers, right? If you want to communicate, you can using localhost. It will be um, communicate. To access your pod outside of the cluster using service only, you need to write the service file and you can access your pod. So it will need to matches the spec and labels. So we'll talk about when you deploy the pods. We'll talk about that one. We can can deploy the pods using commands or YAML files. Okay, these are the theory part. Okay, now next session will discuss about installation of Kubernetes cluster. How many ways we can set up a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, we can set up many ways. Okay, that is one Minikube. Okay, in Minikube it's like a it will comes to everything, both master and worker node coming into one server only. So but when you talk about production perspective, like you need master and different worker nodes. Okay, means different means we have three or four worker nodes, like that your wish, like how many wants you can worker nodes you can define. Using kubeadm we can set up the cluster and you can maintain the cluster. Okay, with help of Kafka also you can set up Kubernetes cluster. Okay, EKS in using EKS cluster also in AWS it is provided EKS, so there you have to maintain. Now Azure also have AKS, Azure Kubernetes cluster, and Azure also own Azure Kubernetes, and Google also have GK Google Kubernetes in service. Okay, so different service providers based on the cloud it is provided. Okay, so this is the only theory, like as we said, what is Kubernetes, why Kubernetes, and what are the components. Now next session we will install the Kubernetes cluster, and we'll see how to deploy the pods and how to access that one. Okay, that's all about in this session. Thanks for watching.